Part of the lap, it's going to this man, Philippe Eng. On the next part of the lap, it's the chaser, but it's all about just stroking it home to the finish for what will be a remarkable result for Henry Walkenhorst's team. And he's a busy man, not just the team principal, but he's also been competing this weekend in the team's other car, number 35 car, sharing with 36 car, Anders Buchart, Ralf Overhaus and Emmanuel Vinke. That car is in the hands of Vinke, down in 38th position.
The Mercedes has gotten ahead of the 78 Lamborghini. Now it's up to Martin Kodrick to try and tie himself to the back of the Mercedes as much as he possibly can, to use the benefit of the pace of Alvaro Parent, to use that as your spoiler to try and then make another move. Probably not many more opportunities are going to arise. Low, now tire. A lot of smoke coming from that right rear. It looked to me as if it was a tyre was beginning to rub on the bodywork, or a tyre beginning to deflate.
Yeah, he's starting to chunk a little bit. It went by our start-finish position just a few minutes ago, and I thought I noticed smoke in the air, but it's gotten a lot worse.
You know what? I just wonder if he actually had a bit of a clash with Alvaro Parent when he tried to come past. It certainly wasn't from clunking into the side of Frasinetti, because he was on the other side when he hit that one. It's the right rear from Kodrich's point of view. That will be certainly starting to draw his attention. So instead of challenging for the lead in the Silver Cup, I think you have to say this one. But at this point in the circuit, it's not smoking as much, but I think it will smoke. And I think that's the Silver Cup battle settled into the final quarter of an hour of the race.
Yeah, there's smoke, the tyre, there's body rub against the sidewall, the tread of the tyre, and you can see it on the lean of the car going through Pouhon, and it was doing it clearly as it came up Camel Straight. So that will be a tense moment now for the entire Barwell Motorsport team. And in fact, I wonder just how much they've backed off. He has backed off. It's letting certainly the number 3 and the Bentley also going through. So his race in terms of getting that victory looks like it might now no longer be viable.
Yeah, well, he's got quite an advantage over the third car in the Silver Cup class. That's the number 6 Mercedes that made a very late pit stop, and that has been taken to the finish by Hubert Hout. So he should still be able to come home second in the Silver Cup class to put some decent points into the pot. But as you can see, he has his problems. That is the number 78 Martin Kodrich-driven Lamborghini, fighting for Silver Cup honours. Up front though, 10, nearly 11 seconds. Tension up and down the pit lane if you're in the BMW camps. It's Philippe Eng leading the way from Alexander Sims, the 34 car for Walkenhorst Motorsport. This will be a fabled win for them. So it's looking very good indeed for the 34 BMW. Philippe Eng leading by 11 seconds. Lead car in the AM class, 27th overall, just seen it coming up through to the top of Les Combes, ahead of the car in second place overall. But Barwell Motorsport had their problems just recently in the Silver Cup class, but heading for AM class honours with their 77 Huracan. Gap between first and second, 10.9 seconds. It really is a tenth of a second here, a tenth of a second going back the other way. So you'd have to say, with 11.5 minutes remaining, even the Audi giving chase from Land Motorsport is not able to make any real gains. In fact, the last couple of laps it's lost a little bit in third place. So I think we effectively know our top 3 finishers at this point in the race.
Well, it's been a stellar drive from the top 3 teams and drivers. Kelvin van der Linde pushing, never giving up. Neither had his brother when he was behind the wheel of the car. Back to Philippe Eng, a star drive from Philippe Eng, a driver he's not afraid to put his nose in, put his foot on the door, but otherwise has driven an exemplary race. Had a few warnings about track limits on the exit of Blanchimont, but he's made an adjustment, and no more that we've seen. In fact, there are no notifications on screen whatsoever. Impossible. They've had them up virtually every second of this event.
Well, look at the faces in the Walkenhorst Motorsport camp. They were relaxed and happy in the first part of the race. They could be very, very happy as we reach the conclusion, but right now there's tension like they've never known before. This will be the biggest result of their career by a country mile, and very, very exciting for them. But of course, nervous minutes, as it always is. All those little potential noises, you can hear them clicking around But for the Walkenhorst Motorsport crew, Henry Walkenhorst, we saw him just fleeting in the garage with the silver hair. He's been racing the 36 car, but he's not in that now, because if his other car is there, he is. He doesn't want anyone to talk to him now. He may have stopped breathing, but I think we'll get him back to life. But he's just counting it down. He wouldn't want to be in the other car and finish the race. He wants to be here to see this car. The story is going to be massive.
The magnitude of their achievement is just phenomenal. I mean, it's a great story, because ordinarily you imagine that it's the high-profile teams that are going to be the teams that are going to stand on the podium. But here is a team that doesn't fulfill that particular criteria, but it will do if it takes the checkered flag here and wins this race in 9 minutes and 40 seconds.
Yeah, so Henry Walkenhorst started racing himself back in 2005. He liked the Enduro events, and he's going to like them a whole lot more. And I tell you what, Philipp Eng is going to have to be held down as if he's a helium balloon trying to escape. He is going to be so happy. He won with the Crack Row Racing team, and I think this is an even greater accolade if he can bring it home for Walkenhorst Motorsport. And as you can see, look, into the final 10 minutes race. No one on his tail. He can enjoy these laps, but still breathing will be that little bit harder to do. He'll be listening out for anything untoward, but what he can see, the gap has stayed absolutely stable back to the chasing Alexander Sims. There is Sims in the 99 car, running down the hill, just under 11 seconds down. Not too much traffic in front of him, but just no chance now to close in on the race leader.
And Philipp Eng has put in a huge effort here at the end of the race. He's been in the car for a long time, and it's been getting warmer and warmer.
Yeah, but as I joked, if they tried to remove him for this, the final stint, he'd have been fighting them off. Get away from me.
Yeah, but nevertheless, I mean, the physicality of driving an enclosed GT car with probably not a huge amount of airflow, because airflow reduces your downforce, your aerodynamics. So a lot of drivers in this last quarter of the race have really been putting in significant stints. And for the leading three cars, it's certainly been Philipp Eng, Alexander Sims and Kelvin van der Linde that have done the bulk of the driving.
But for a driver who does a very long final sequence of stints to get out after winning the race, they will suddenly feel fine. But the driver who's been giving chase, with a long series of final stints, they will be the ones feeling absolutely dreadful afterwards, because their adrenaline will escape. They will just realise that level of exhaustion that they all have. So into the final 7.5 minutes or so of this race, still with the gap 11 or so seconds between the 34 BMW and the 99 BMW, still chasing but not catching. In the Pro-Am class, it's the 333 Ferrari running around. Alexander Matschel, the German racer, at the wheel, sitting comfortably in 15th place, 2 positions on the track ahead of the 42 Mercedes. David Fuminelli doing his best, but it is not enough. It's too little, too late. Matching the pace of the Rinaldi Ferrari, but at the moment Alexander Matschel is doing all he needs to do to take a Pro-Am class win. Looking good, sounding great. All the cars sound great at this late stage of the race. One of the beauties of GT3 racing is the individual engine notes, and some of them really are good enough to put the hairs up on the back of your neck. You can imagine the field at the start of the race, 63 of these monsters roaring around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, and looking very, very good as well. 13 manufacturers of cars coming out to play. They really did get in and play. It was very, very busy through the evening into nightfall. During the night, a few slips and stumbles, but some solid racing, most notably from the BMW crews, working their way ever closer to the front of the race. The Bentleys were in the mix. They had their moments. They had their problems, however, and only one of those 2 cars still remaining. Number 77 car leading the AM class, as it has been seemingly for the past 36 hours, which isn't bad in a 24-hour race, but it's been a wonderful performance from the number 77 Barwell Motorsport Huracan, sitting in 27th position overall.
It's been a stellar effort by the Barwell team and by the drivers, and to have controlled for such a long time the lead in the AM category. It's a very competitively well fought, combination of bronze and the odd silver driver, and to run these cars and finish up in the top 30, comfortably within the top 30, is no mean achievement. There's the battle right now that's taking place in the silver category, and it's still the 12, the Omra, that has got the advantage.
Yeah, but it's only 1 second, 0.998 of a second. is the gap. There's a car between them. It's the SMP Racing Ferrari. I better not write anything on my notebook just yet about who's going to win the Silver Cup class. This is the closest of the groupings as we go with just 5.5 minutes remaining at the end of the 70th running of the Spa 24 Hours. It's advantage BMW. It looks like a 1-2, but it looks as though it's Walkenhorst Motorsport who will be taking the ultimate accolade. And here goes Philipp Eng. He's counting it down to the finish now.
All the way up the Kemmel Straight. Probably not quite the penultimate time. He's going to do it one more time, then it will be the final lap. So the BMW just maneuvers its way there. The Walkenhorst team. Oh, it's almost as if each is supporting the other.
Nice photo op.
Absolutely so. That will be up on Henry Walkenhorst's office wall, I feel. Tied in long time with BMW. I think, in fact, Henry is a BMW dealer. I think that's part of the gig. I'll have to look that one up later, but he's certainly raced BMWs for quite a while now. But no day will match this day. The team's first winner to top level, and to do it at the biggest one of all. To win a Blancpain endurance round would put a massive smile on their face, but this will be complete adulation. To win the biggest one of the lot, and biggest by quite some margin, is a truly phenomenal achievement.
And to win what, in my view, is a unique event in itself, this particular one, because the thing that has always had a major bearing and effect on the outcome of this 24-hour race of Spa-Francorchamps is we've had almost idyllic weather from the lights, or the checkered flag, the Belgian flag starting the race, to the checkered flag to finish it. So many of these races we've seen torrential rain, monsoon-like rain, or just rain in general, and the effect that has, often it actually adds to a race because people mix and match on tyre choices, and it adds a degree of unpredictability. There hasn't been much predictability so far in this race. What we do know is that this car has been the dominant car from midnight onward, and nothing has been there to challenge it. Others have tried. The 99 has done its best, but it's not been able to get on real terms, never certainly in a position to offer a threat to the Walkenhorst number 34 BMW.
So it's going to be this lap and one more, because it's not a case, he's not far enough clear, Philipp Eng, to back it off and do a lap in 3 minutes and 10 seconds or so. So it's going to be this lap and one more. The gap between first and second still at 11 seconds. So the good news for Philipp Eng, he's got to do this. One more, he can be quite slow on the final lap, he can back off his pace. This one he's got to keep the pace up yet one more time, but 509 laps completed. It will be a 511 lap race. You might ask why it's down on some years. That's because we had 2 hours with all the cars at standstill in the night. The red flag because we had barrier damage up at Eau Rouge. That had to be sorted. It took a long time. But for Walkenhorst Motorsport, they're not starting to dream the dream. They've been dreaming it for quite some while. They must have been starting to come their way through the night, but once they got the better of the rival BMW team from Rover Racing, from Rover Motorsport, they really did start to believe. Fans in the sunshine looking down, they're ready for the post-race celebrations all gathering. Those will take place down on the old start line, on the descent towards Eau Rouge. And it does look as though it's going to be for the number 34 of Walkenhorst Motorsport BMW, being driven with great style and bravado by Philipp Eng.
Yes, and Philipp Eng was going to get all the accolades because he's done probably the lion's share of the driving, but he's been ably supported by Tom Blomqvist and Christian Cronjes, who probably the least known of the three drivers in the lineup. He himself, he got that car in the early hours of the morning up onto the top three and then into the lead.
Yes, I mean, certainly coming into this race, you'd expect Christian Cronjes to be the slowest of that trio, but he simply hadn't been. He drove some really, really good strong stints. And as you said, he's not adding himself to a long, long line of famous Norwegian racing drivers.
Rally drivers possibly, but not motor racing.
No, entirely so. And the more mixes, the merrier. You pointed out yesterday, Bob, just the sheer number of flags of nationalities competing in this event, and it really is wonderful. It almost creeps up on you without noticing. In the early days, the Spa 24 Hours would have been quite pleased with a dozen different nationalities, but it's way, way in excess of that now. And so it should be of a race of its global standing.
Absolutely.
So, one more time around for the Walkenhorst Motorsport crew.
No sign of a celebration breaking out down there yet. There's still a lot of tension in those faces.
Absolutely so. Smiling is forbidden. That's important.
Plenty of time for that in a minute or so.
And now they can run out to get those flags over the wall.
Well, we had a few famous racing drivers. One was Harold Houseman. You remember Harold Houseman?
Oh yes, of course, Harold Houseman.
Tommy Rustad.
A chap called Borna Skiaka.
Dennis Olsen.
Yeah, so here we go. Number 34 up the Kemmel Straight for the final time. And no one particularly in front of him. He doesn't have to push too hard. He has an advantage of 11 seconds. It's been just metronomic. No change between himself and Alexander Sims. Alexander Sims, British driver, a winner here with Eng 24 months ago when they were both racing for Rover Racing. Put BMW the top of the podium for the first time with the M6. And now it's the turn of a first. The first coming to the Walkenhorst Motorsport crew. And round through Bruxelles, down the drop, no pressure at all for the race leading 34 Walkenhorst Motorsport BMW M6, down that wonderful sweep to Pujol, that mighty double left-hander. And look, it's almost as though the track has been emptied for this, the victory lap for the 34 BMW, making it look very, very good indeed. For Rowe Racing, they'll have to tip their hat to their rival crew from BMW, but they'll be delighted, but also, well, hold on, this could be the changing of the guard.
Well,
and that's what motor racing is all about. We don't want it to be static, we do want change.
I think that what both teams benefit from is significant input from M Sport or BMW, and bringing in quality drivers. It is a factory team. It's in a factory team in the colours of Walkenhorst Motorsport, in the same way that Rowe Racing is a subsidiary of the BMW factory. No factory teams per se, but these run as, in effect, quasi-factory teams.
And now it's glory time up through Blanchimont for the final time, sweeping past cars that are no longer opponents. They are bit part players supporting the main act, and the main act in 2018 has been Walkenhorst Motorsport. It's been BMW as well, but it's been a turning of the tables. It's not Rowe Racing taking victory. They'll have to make do with second place overall. Sweeping around, straightening up for the final time, going past the sister car from Walkenhorst Motorsport. You can even orchestrate that as well. It's 1-2 for BMW. Look at the flags are waving on the wall. He tried his hardest. Alexander Sims pushed all the way to the finish, but he has to accept second place for the 99 crew. In many ways, I think they'll be relieved as well, because the racing was fierce throughout the first stages of the race, and then it was the run to the finish. Third place will go to an Audi. Don't forget, we had an Audi leading from the start of the race. It wasn't this one, it was the number 2 car, but really the most consistent Audi crew has been Land Motorsport. Still relative novices with the Spa 24 Hour. Most of their racing has been on other circuits, but a really good run from the Van der Linde brothers and Jeffrey Smith. Third place for them. Let's look at the delight up on the wall. That's going to unfold big time. Henry Walkenhorst right in the thick of it. There he is in the spectacles. He will hug another 100 more people before Parc Fermé has been reached.
Well, it's great to see, effectively, I would call a family team winning such a prestigious event. And the joy, and well, first of all, the dream of coming here and thinking you had a chance, then the realization that you're going to be on the podium, and then the final realization